Greetings, Cosmic Wanderers, and welcome back to One on One here. Today we're venturing into a realm of god slaying, conceptual warfare, and timelines so convoluted it would make a Lovecraftian deity dizzy. Yes, we're diving into the magnificent madness that is Shinza Bansho. It is also known as the Kami series or the Masadaverse by, well, the fans. It is a Japanese multimedia franchise primarily consisting of visual novels and some light novels, which hopefully it gains traction soon because this is one of those series where you're going to want to stick around. It's like Fate, but on 10 times the steroids of power and a little toned down from the story because there's a clear direction in this series where Fate, it can go from there, all the way to there. So yeah, buckle up. It's going to be an absolutely insane ride. Now, for the uninformed, Shinza Bansho is a sprawling series of interconnected visual novels and some light novels, each a grand epic exploring fundamental concepts like laws, chaos, desire, and the very fabric of reality itself. In reality bending battles lies a narrative that is so beautiful that it is woven across multiple eras and dimensions. A timeline that can be both fascinating and, well, let's just say it requires a whiteboard and a whole lot of caffeine to fully grasp what is going on here. At its core, Shinza involves around a mystical device called the Throne, which exists at the root of all creation. The series depicts the events that unfolds as different powerful beings, often referred to as Hado gods, reach this divine throne and rewrite reality according to their own fundamental desires or laws. Each god's law shapes the very fabric of existence itself, leading to vastly different and often conflicting universes. So what is Shinza Bansho? At its core, it's a creation of the legendary writer Mazda Takashi and the visual novel Studio Light. It's a multiverse of interconnected stories, each exploring different facts, different eras, and different central mythologies. Think of it like a cosmic opera where gods and godlike beings clash, their desires shaping and reshaping entire realities. It is a beautiful series, so it's going to be a nice ride. Now, most people begin their journey with this series with Desire, set against the backdrop of World War II and its aftermath. It introduces us to the concept of the Longinus Dreijin Odin, resurrected Nazi occultist, wielding terrifying abstract powers. Timeline wise, Desire primarily takes place in the 20th century, but its roots dive deep into ancient history with the origins of the Holy Grail War and the Spear of Longinus. It's often seen as the entry point because it provides a relativistically grounded introduction to the core mechanics of the Shinsaverse, like Taikoku and the concept of laws, dimensions, and everything. So yeah, this is a great point to begin the series, either with the anime or the visual novel that's on Steam. This is not a Steam plug, by the way. Next part in the series is K3. This story shifts the setting dramatically to a feudal Japanese-inspired world, where powerful warlords, each embodying a different fundamental law, clash for dominance. Timeline-wise, K3 exists in a different world or dimension within the Shinsaverse, but it explores similar cosmic principles on a grander, more overly mythological scale. You'll see echoes of the Taikoku and struggle between the different cosmic orders, but with a distinct Japanese flavor. Think of it as a parallel exploration of similar concepts in a different reality. This is basically a direct sequel to Desire, because it takes place after Mari takes the throne and Heijin comes and slaughters everyone. But other than that, yeah, good venture point. Then we have the Mazdaverse itself, often considered the deeper lore and overarching narrative framework. This isn't a single story, but rather a collection of works and concepts that dive deep into the origins of the Shinza Bansho cosmology. Think of it as the ancient history and mythology that underpins everything else. Works like Paradise Lost and discussions about the throne and the various gods that fall under its umbrella. Timeline wise, the Masadaverse spans eons, detailing the rise and fall of countless gods and the repetitive nature of creation and destruction itself. This is where things get truly mind bending. Well, here's where the timeline gets a bit fluid. In the Shinza Bansho verse, it isn't strictly a linear narrative in the traditional sense, and entries often exist in their own contained realities or dimensions, in their albeit connected by the underlying cosmic principles and the potential for characters and concepts to transcend these boundaries. Think of it as it's less a straight line from point A to point Z and more like a vast interconnected web. Events in one story might have echoes or reflections in another part of the story. However, it always has that overarching narrative that we love. It provides a framework for understanding the grand cosmic cycles at play. However, directly placing every event on a single chronological timeline is often futile and misses the point of its interconnected story. Think of it as point one goes to point two and point three. This one may go down here, there, and there. Meanwhile, this one may go there, go back to the original, and then go here. So it's sort of complicated like that. And then we have the deeper part of the lore of the Masadaverse, which explores the origins and mechanics of godhood itself. Concepts like Taikoku, the primordial source of all things, and of course the divine throne system, the seat of absolute authority over reality, space, and anything you can think of. We'll learn about the past gods, powerful beings who have claimed the throne and imposed their law upon the entire multiverse. This is where the true scale of the Shinsa cosmology and the power of its gods become truly mind boggling. The nature of godhood in Shinsa. What is crucial to understand is that godhood in the series isn't a reward or a state of inherent goodness. It's a manifestation of an intense, powerful desire that becomes so absolute it warps reality to its will. These gods are often driven by deeply personal and sometimes selfish motivations. At their interactions can have catastrophic consequences for the worlds beneath them, aka anytime Muzan or Heijin come into play. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of the gods themselves. In the Shinsa Bansho universe, the term Hado gods and Gado gods refer to the two fundamental and contrasting ways in which beings can attain the power of godhood and assert their influence over reality. They represent different approaches to imposing one's will upon the world. Let's dive into the breakdown between the Hado and the Gado. The Hado gods exhibit outward expansion. They are characterized by their desire to paint the entire world or even the entire multiverse in their own image. Their law is the fundamental desire that fuels their godhood and expands outward, seeking to overwrite and encompass all of existence within their truth. Basically, like imagine a shockwave of a nuclear weapon going outward, expanding and consuming everything in its path. It's basically all is me, therefore the world must confront to me. This is a common way to summarize the Hado mentality. Their existence inherently warps the reality around them to align to their law and their will. The throne aids in this and is the mystical device, as we also talked about earlier. is the primordial source and the seat for the Hado gods. It amplifies their law, allowing them to extend their influence across vast distances. But here's the key thing in the throne. The throne is not the power source. The god is the power source. It's basically think of it as a computer updating. The throne is the computer, and the Hado god is the person putting in the code. But let's go over the Hado gods. First is Mithra, the first one, whose law is basically good and evil in a constant conflict. Muzan's is, aka the second heaven, is becoming an evil that devours evil. But then when it comes to Nedos, aka the third Hado god, his is basically purifying the world of sin. Basically the opposite of Muzan's evil that devours evil. He is cleanse the world of sin. The fourth heaven, aka Mercurius, is basically, if I could sum it up, his desire for the eternal recurrence and observation of endless cycle. He basically is trapped in a repetitive loop, and he wants to find out the unknown. Maris, the fifth heaven, is basically, eternal peace, love, eternal reincarnation, the perfect world, everything. And Haitians, as we know, is obviously reject all, and I want to be alone. His absolute denial of all other laws and the desire for a world where only he exists. Now, onto the Gado gods, basically seeking a different path. It's inward perfection or inward painting over their own worlds. In contrast to the Hado gods focus on perfecting themselves and their own internal worlds. Their law doesn't necessarily seek to overwrite the external world, but rather to establish their own self as an absolute independent reality. It's basically inward perfection versus outward painting over. Now, the Gado gods are mostly shown in K3 as Sabaki, Rindo, Yako, and all them. So yeah, but the most important one is Habaki. He's the sensory or the avatar of Heijian's tumor. He has both properties of Hado and Gado. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Avesta of Black and White. It predates both Desaide K3, Desaide Pantheon. It's basically the fundamental start of what we see in the whole series, as Mithra is the throne goddess. Magsaron-Muzan is the main character. However, he's just slaughtering people. So yeah, it's a fun time for him. And now let's go over some key aspects of what is the throne and what is going on. The throne, as we talked about, is the central point of all creation. Ascending to the throne grants godhood and the power to impose one's law upon existence. The gods are beings whose souls have reached a level allowing them to manipulate reality based on their deepest desires, their law, their reality, their world. The Hado and Gado gods are the two primary categories of gods with distinct ways of imposing the law upon the world. Hado gods seek to paint the world in their own colors, and Gado gods, on the other hand, often achieve their law through self-negation or the rejection of the existing reality. Taikoku, or Etito, or Big Bang, represents the ultimate law of the universe and existence. It's basically, I'm going to do this. As in Renfuji's case is stopping time altogether. Whether time exists or not, it will stop. And the multiple eras of the worlds. Each god who ascends to the throne paints the new era with a color, basically their shade, and they are their own living universe and multiverse. They are so powerful, these people. It's crazy. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the main villain, the antagonist, full antagonist of the series, who was going to be the big antagonist in the Pantheon series, which is on hold, unfortunately, because currently Masada is working on other works in his own work, in his own world. Like right now, I know he's trying to do a fifth heaven story, a fourth heaven story, a third heaven story. But yeah, Pantheon is on pause, and Narca is this big bad who's cursed humans with immortality long before the first age happened. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this series? Did I explain it good enough? Could I add more to it? Definitely, but this should be a groundwork into this series. It's complicated, I would say, since one of the series, Desire is on Steam. It's the only translated work in the entire series. I know K3 has like ancient Japanese in it, which makes it almost impossible to translate. But I know there's a team on YouTube trying to do it, which is a good thing. Pantheon Prologue is up on YouTube too. You can search for it. But yeah, this is a very niche series. I know a lot of people know it from power scaling. Granted, it is a very powerful verse and probably the most powerful that has come out of Japan, but that's not where the beauty lies in this series. The beautiful part about it is the artwork, the character designs, the plots, the themes, the philosophical stuff from Mercurius. It's absolutely insane, the series. But hey, if you want to dive into it, I highly recommend it. I hope you do. And if you don't, well, it's your loss. It's a great series. It's one of the best out there. But hey, if you want to check it out, that's up to you. So anyway, one-on-one signing out. Hope you enjoyed the video. And like and subscribe and share. I know there's people who want to get into this series, so just forward them this video.